Bartail has been one of the persons who's watched all the shows. I talk to him on a regular basis in the EverQuest Next IRC channel.
What we saw with Kunark for EQ2, you did those 400 quests, you did all the content, and at the end of it, the world wasn't changed.
Yeah, I'm Phantom X. I do social media and write articles for EQ Nexus.
For the Fall of Bastion, there was a very definite, okay, this is where your story is going to fit into the world.
Listen, fluffy looking bear, thank you. Listen, I went and I killed a dragon, and then 2 drops of whiskey hit my face, and I willed this manly beard into cow was raising. Yes!
Hello and welcome. This is the EverCast show, episode number 30, which we've titled Combat Wombat. I am one of your co-hosts, Tanlin. With me is the normal crew. We've got Chuena, Flatus, Kylest, and a special guest with us. Why don't we have him introduce himself?
And I'm Zorn the Bear. I make really stupid videos on the internet.
I love your stupid videos.
He does a lot of machinima, which is fun. Are you still doing your Planet Side series, Zorn, or is that still on hiatus?
As soon as Sony Online Entertainment gives me the tools, I will start making it, but that is on hiatus until they help. As an evil glare goes
through. Well, that's going to suck because I put in your About You little paragraph that I put together for all of our guest hosts. I put that you make, Planet Side 2. What did you say? I call it Machina for whatever reason. Machinima. There we go.
Machina.
But I'm also interested in doing EverQuest Next Machinima, which is like because I used to do World of Warcraft machinima, and I really want to do for EverQuest stuff. And I saw how the graphics were, that you can build all your stuff. So I could make my own set without trying to Photoshop the background and everything for World of Warcraft and WoW model viewer. So
that's the exact same thing I was thinking.
The model viewer is such a pain to work with too.
Yep.
So there's a lot of video editing.
Yep.
Quiet time. I was just going to say, with Landmark, it does seem really beneficial for kind of someone who wants to produce machinima, especially once SOE Live or SOE Mode goes live. Wow, that was terrible. Once SOE Mode goes live and we have like the full facial recognition and we have ways to create our own little emotes, that could make like a voiceover guy's like dream or reality of having that character actually speak instead of some weird animation that doesn't match up. So it should be really cool to see. And we will have an army of builders for you too, Zorn, when you're ready, because we've met a lot of people and they're pretty damn talented, and I'm sure they'd love to get in on it. So it should be fun. You just let us know when you're ready.
Yep, absolutely.
I like to harvest. If you ever need help with harvesting.
Good.
Speaking
that's
of
one
that,
thing I hate doing.
Yeah, for real. Don't we have a couple of giveaways tonight? A couple items?
We do.
Kylest and Tamlin?
Oh, those are all Tanlin.
We're doing 3 giveaways today if we can get the raffle system to work, because it was not my assigned project for the week. But so we thought I came up with these giveaway packs, and I'll explain what they are. The first one we're calling an upkeep pack. It is enough copper to provide upkeep for 7 claims for 15 days. And if you do the math, that's 21.5 thousand copper. Then the other 2 giveaways we're doing, we're calling portal shard packs, which are basically 20 portal shards. If you're new to Landmark, maybe you aren't able to get around quickly to all the different PvP arenas that are working on. But I thought that if you're new to Landmark and you want to experience the PvP, that this would be like the awesome thing for you, because you could go to the gallery, you could hit, sort by PvP, and then use your portal shard and go right to that arena on your own. So we have 2 of those to give away, and then the 1 upkeep pack. So Flatus, my boy, you're in charge of this, right?
Yep. I got it. Just let me know. Just announce when you want us to give something away, and I'll take care of it.
Before the break, after, and we'll do 1 before the break and 2 after. How about that?
Works for me.
And we'll continue having special things to give away over pretty much every episode from now on. Keep an eye out for an epic axe. I'm working on an epic pick, right? The legendary axe is already finished. I'll be doing a legendary pick for giveaway, and I'll be doing some all of the harvesting potions. So just keep an eye out on the show for us.
Listen, we're doing all the hard work for you. You just got to jump in and just take stuff and go to town.
And
Oh wow!
maybe.
Fancy. Now,
Maybe.
can cast members enter that giveaway?
No.
so
Not if their
Just
name
wondering.
starts with C.
That's convenient, because my name is now Lord Byron II, so it starts with an L. And I would prefer if you all
You
call
are
me
no
that from
Lord
now on.
Byron.
You get
Actually,
Baron swag
wait,
with it.
what's funny about that giveaway is that poor Krona, if you don't know, like, Krona's a regular member of the audience. He participates heavily in the EverCast chat. He lost his claim due to upkeep because the power went out at his house. So, like, Krona, I got your back. Just get a hold of me after the show, and we'll make sure that this doesn't happen again, or at least you have like 2 weeks supply. Because I want, and the reason why, like, if you haven't seen him tweet out, you need to follow him on Twitter, and you need to look at the pictures that he's tweeted out of his claim, because it is my favorite one. And I'm sorry to pick favorites, but it's my favorite one to look at, because it's basically children's toys blown up to huge sizes, so that when you're running around in the battleground, you look like you're a miniature. It's mini me running around in the battleground. I think it's very fun to look at, and because of that, it's going to be fun to just watch people PvPing in it.
Honey,
It's pretty much. I was gonna say it's like Toy Story, the PvP edition.
I was just going to say he's only 5'6". He's always mini me.
Oh shit!
A little feedback on the voices. They say Zoran is a little low. I'm a little echoey, but that's just my camera. But yeah, so we are now live at a different time, guys. 2 hours earlier. Is it weird to be doing the show? Because it's weird for me right now. Usually I'd probably be sleeping. What do you guys think about the new time slot? Are we good to keep it? Give us some feedback in chat too.
Yeah, I mean, listen, it's 8 o'clock here. I'm doing this for you. I love you.
It is.
So, and you, and that whole group right there. I love you guys too.
In that little...
And Kailas.
Okay.
And Tamlin.
Very
Chewie,
good.
and Zoran.
Zoran. Because you love bear butts?
Oh no! Oh, we'll get on that in after show.
Hold up. We're getting on this now. What the hell happened with the whole bear butts thing? Don't blame me.
What happened? You should definitely blame him, because he started it all.
What happened here?
All right, this is my what you find a lot in MMORPGs in the fantasy realm. Cause someone had mentioned to me like, oh, what about Star Trek? And then I made the argument that tribbles are just tiny space bears. So that's my argument. But in most fantasy-based RPGs, there is always a quest to kill a bear. And everybody always hazed me, and I was like, no, and you always have to get a body part off an animal. And I always butts are funny, so I always said bear butts. Well, I underestimated the chat to pick out the littlest thing, and they ran with it, and now it's just bear butt palooza in there. Every time they see me, they're like, Flatus and his bear butts, but you know what? Arcage, I took a picture and posted it to Twitter. Sure as hell, they had me killing fucking bears.
It was him that dropped the F-bomb. I didn't do it this time.
It was me. I'm sorry, but God, I'm tired of killing bears!
I was
But
playing
Zoran-
Arcade and I actually did that quest. I'm like, come on, man.
See,
And I was live
Were
streaming.
you
He's like, you're
killing
killing
those
your own
Hyman,
people.
Zoran? Yeah.
telling you.
What is the history behind Zoran the bear?
But the name Zoran came from a D&D adventure from first edition, and I was looking for a really cool wizard name, and Zoran became that. But apparently, it's a very common Slavic name, so that came awkward. And the bear part came from a really stupid Flash animation, because I used to do medieval reenactment things with people, and they found this Flash
Like
video
SCA
and
type things.
sort of like that,
Woo!
and they found a really silly Flash animation, because my nickname sort of in high school was Bear, because I'm like 6'6" and I'm just the tallest dude in the world. And basically they found this animation, and it sounded just like me, like I'm a bear and I have bear powers or something, was one of the lines. And apparently that came a little catch thing, so it's like, well, I have my D&D character name, which I always went with, and then there's Bear, so I just threw that in.
Who
That's how that came about.
who did your super
Very cool.
cute bear? I want to know who did your super cute bear.
A very nice lady named Lizzie, we'll go by Lizzie or Goddard on Twitter, drew my bear for me. I asked her, like,
Okay.
hey, I need a bear, and she's like, oh yeah, I'll do one for you. So it's there, and also that's going to become a decal in plant side too, apparently.
Whoa, no way.
So
Congratulations, man. How'd you get that past TRA?
They're doing a whole live stream thing, and they're like, hey, you want to make a decal? And I'm like, that's a lot of legal issues, buddy.
That's super cool. Well, fantastic. Tamlin, is there any ECAST news for the night before we get into the main topic? Or topics?
No, just that this is our new time. We always appreciate feedback on changes that we're doing, so let us know what you think.
All right.
Clickety,
Fantastic. So,
clickety, clackety, clickety, clackety. So the other thing, ECAST news, is that noise, the typing noise, will go away by the next episode. It's just that, we ordered the inline mute switch for Kyla's mic. It's not here yet. I could tease out, like, we're because Arcade is now in open beta, we're going to talk just a tiny bit about it in the next episode. We're probably going to end up talking about it a little bit tonight too, simply because it's a new MMO, and I'll just throw it out there. It's the same combat system that we've seen before. And like Fugazi said, that it's really hard to go, like, once you're going from one combat system in Landmark, going back to the tab targeting and action hotbar, it's pretty difficult. It was for me too. Which is, this is an awesome segue to go right into combat. This is the, Landmark combat. It's been out for 10 days. We talked about it for the last 2 episodes. This will be probably the last time we talk about it, in regards specifically to Landmark for a couple of weeks, because don't want to beat that dead horse. But so what do you guys think? Week and a half of Landmark combat. How do you see it? Where do you see it? And specifically, what about Landmark combat? What are your feelings towards combat in EverQuest Next now?
Who wants to go first? But you gave it an honest try, though. I have to give you credit. You did try to sit down and just play it and go through it, though. So, and you just still came out at the end and like, this isn't my bag, and that's cool. Like that, I give you mad props for that.
I'm still trying, and I don't like it. There's nothing about it that I find enjoyable, with the exception of getting to play with friends. And beyond that, I don't really like it at all.
what facets of it do you not like? Is it the movement? Is it the binding of the attacks, left, right mouse button?
It is strictly the movement and the fact that I currently, at least, and I don't know if they have any intention of changing that, but I don't like the way that I have to move in the game, and I don't like the fact that I feel like I'm going to break my mouse every time I enter combat. It's just not my thing. I don't want to destroy my mouse by being clicky, clicky, clicky every time I want to kill things. I do enjoy the speed of combat, though. I think that's really good. I just don't like the combat style in regards to the human to game interface aspect of it.
I get you. Like, It is because gaming mice. I mean, even though they have a higher mouse button push rate, I mean, if you're doing a game like that, you're like slamming your buttons down.
Yeah, and honestly, that's my feedback. That
Damn,
sorry.
I don't think I can hear you, buddy.
Sorry.
There you go.
My feedback for the combat is that I went into PvP hard like the first couple of days it was out, and that's the first time that I felt like my wrist was strained from clicking a whole bunch of times. In an MMO in a long time, and like even when I was harvesting the other day, it's just like I hope that they find some better systems than holding down a mouse button or clicking the mouse button a whole bunch of times, because I don't think that either of those are ideal. That's just my feedback. Other than that, it's still like and Flatus and Choina and I we play our Friday night Smite, right? And my favorite thing about Smite in that they're very similar combat systems. They're very similar to where I see EverQuest next is gonna be a lot like Smite, and that you get these cooldown abilities that make you feel awesome. Like you know when you can land those critical long cooldown abilities, it makes you feel heroic. It changes the tide of a battle. And if you can line up a couple of good ones, you can totally change the what's going on in the battle. And in Landmark, you currently have none of that. You have it feels very much like a first person shooter where everybody is all the same. There is, you bunny hop and swap weapons, and the person that wins is going to be the person with the faster reflexes and the better frame rates, because once you understand the meta, that's it. You've understood the game.
Yeah. A big feedback for me when we were talking about it a couple weeks ago was the whole swapping weapons and the fact that it's hard to define a role as a player within the PvP style of Landmark. Like, you have 3 different weapons that have 3 different play styles, but unfortunately, those weapons are swapped in and out so easily that just because someone has a bow 1 second, I can't really strategize against them other than, I'm going to hit them from a bow, and then I'm going to switch to my staff and just, hope I kill them before they kill me. I'd like to see, restraining one weapon to combat or just making the swap out times more difficult so that it isn't beneficial to switch your weapons often. But I'd like to see more defined roles in PvP and combat in Landmark, even though it is supposed to be multi-genre and weapon-based to where you can switch it up a lot. Something about it being on the fly really kind of kills the strategy, and it makes it hard for me to react other than, let's just go run around like I'm playing an FPS, where it's just whoever pulls the trigger first kind of wins. So I would like to see that, maybe longer swap out times on the weapons, or maybe a game mode where we can actually select, hey, I just want these weapons to be playable during the matches. I don't know, something. I do understand the feedback about the camera and stuff too. Last week I said, and I still stand by it, there needs to be one method of looking and moving in this game, and right now it's torn, because right now if I'm gathering, harvesting without a weapon on my character, the camera's very different, same with building. But then I go into this combat situation and the movement completely changes, the camera completely changes. It needs to be homogenized down to one style for the game itself. And that's going to be hard for them to find an in-between, maybe even just separate building. But I think that could really help out, especially with the criticism, because right now it's like, the movement of combat sucks. But then we haven't really tried the movement in the style of the game that we've been playing for these past couple months. It's like, it's a whole new little subset of the game.
It is, and I think I made mention to that during the week, like when we were just talking. Like there's Landmark, the building aspect. There's Landmark, the harvesting aspect that just follows suit with the building aspect, and then there's Landmark, the battle, like the combat aspect. And it's this separate game within this game that has a different movement style, a different. It's got cooldowns, and like you can use aspects of Landmark in there. Like you can use like trinkets and stuff, but where it falls is that Belt of the Zephyr are being used, so people are like, and not to say that, I mean, right now I'm one of those big people that says, well, if it's in the game and you can use it, then everybody can use it. Like it's kind of fair game at the moment, but until that's fixed, or when they get it down to a point where it's like there's actually PvP trinkets and those can be used, and they have like maybe a cooldown timer. Like it's almost like Team Fortress where you can switch between your weapons, or have something that can smooth, like have a better transition between weapons. Like because I have a Naga mouse, and I will use that to hot switch between my weapons. But I also find myself that I'm also finding out that when I'm in combat, because it's so fast paced and I'm jumping and flipping and gliding and stuff like that, I'll hit a button on accident and switch weapons like mid combat, and like I meant to go for my sword so I can do a dash and get out of there, and then I hit the staff and I end up throwing a dome or something like that, and I'm like, damn it, and then I die. So it's like, it's cool that I can hot switch, but at the same time there's like these negative aspects to it where it's like, oh, that screwed me. So
Yeah, I wish
So,
they would.
for me, the landmark, or the entire combat landmark to me, as of right now, is the most horrible thing I've ever tried so far. Not because of its action combat, it's because of what the entire aspect of it is. I don't mind left clicking to swing my attack, but I do agree that it should be changed out. What Terra Online does is allows me to change that out for like a different ability. But basically, if I want to have an ability that I constantly use, like say in like other MMOs, I know I'm going to be spamming like Frostbolt all the time. I would have bind that to my left mouse button so I can do that, or make it like Smite, where if I hold down the button, it'll just continuously swing.
Yeah, auto attack.
Yeah,
I'd like to see that as well.
Or have an option to make it an auto attack if I just press it once, and it'll just keep swinging with all the limitations that it offers. A lot of options need to be added. How it is now, for one, the optimization is so terrible. I don't think we can 100% judge it, but at the same time, since I have a pretty good computer and can buff it up to like 40 to 60 even on high sometimes, just going to a PvP match is just frustrating. I mean, I've found the best way to kill people is get a staff, jump up in the air consistently, just ninja all around, bubble the guy, land down, shotgun him to death, and I win every time. That has never failed me with a staff. If I go with a sword, I'm completely useless. The charge ability has an animation delay, which is the worst thing to do.
I know.
In MMO.
I know. That's
If I press the ability, it needs to happen right as I press it. Any delay, any little flash, like I'm charging my attack, and nay, and then it flies over. You've ruined it. You've ruined the entire experience for me. I don't care how I look doing it. Well, there's a certain point everyone likes how they look, but if I press the freaking button, I want to be over there. I don't want to wait for my stupid animation. Just get me over there.
Yeah, the bow's like that too. It has the charge up mechanic, and that's a good point, because when we play Smite on our Friday night Smite night that we do, which if anyone wants to join us, just hit us up on Twitter. It's pretty much all instacast except for a couple of the ultimate abilities that have kind of this charge up. It is interesting that we're seeing this sort of instant, like, visceral combat experience trying to be built in Landmark and then utilizing cooldowns with that. I can understand a cooldown after the ability, but a charge up mechanic seems kind of pointless, especially when it makes you stationary. And especially when you're using melee weapon and having to be stationary while people shotgun you in the face. So that's something I agree with.
There's also one thing I want to add in. Someone's mentioned no trinkets or anything in chat. People still jump around. The movement is still way too fast for me to feel comfortable with it. Everyone is constantly running and jumping. Even I don't use any jumping trinkets. Like at the very start, I didn't use any trinkets because I don't farm for any of it. But when me and Andrew are like, hey, let's kind of get those trinkets that make us run really fast. I'm like, I really don't want to because I don't like using them and being that guy. But sure, as soon as I did it, it was completely unfair because I could just dash away and escape at any time. I was really hoping for Landmark combat to be sort of like Dark Souls movement on how heavy that is. I don't want to be jumping around everywhere like a ninja or anything. Because, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, and I have to say this because I'm a big combat component guy. Like, I am very much the same person, not the same person, but I am very much the person that comes from the mindset that I feel that my attacks, regardless of weapon, should have weight behind them. I feel like if I'm shooting a bow, I should feel like that bow gave me tension. There should be some sort of, like, I'm drawing back. Like, I feel there should be tension if I'm swinging a sword. Like, I should feel like my character it should feel like there's weight behind that. And I don't feel that. I feel like that sword's like, it feels like it's a Nerf bat. Like, I feel like that dude's like doing this and flailing about.
You're beating them with a sharp weapon and it doesn't cut.
Yeah. It's like the butter knife of doom. That's what I'm running into combat with. A large butter knife.
And also, do you think the sword needs to have a shield or some blocking ability to combat every ranged thing in the world?
Well, that's one of the things that we know is that
things.
one of the things that we know is that they are going to. I mean, we've seen pictures of the legendary shield set, and it's going to be a set. They've also talked about like when they add in more weapons that like the soldiers sword that they have in game currently, you're going to be able to choose whether you or not you want to make it a sword and shield set, or if it's just the sword, because they've mentioned that. So we know that there's more, variation to the combat system in coming. It's just like, we already know that, and that's the other thing. We already know that September is going to be a month of bug fixes and optimization. So we're going to have about a month of combat pretty much the way it is.
No, I agree with you. It's like that, and I want to point out real quick that somebody, both Legendary and then Midstooner said I agree with Legendary. Totally fine to talk about what we have now, but don't really think that we can extrapolate too much of what we think combat will be like in EQN yet, based on what we have right now. We can. We absolutely can, because they've said it. They said what it's going to be like. They've told us tons of times what combat's going to be like. It's going to be like a MOBA, and the closest thing to what we have, and the closest to what people have said, like on Reddit when that first came out a year ago, was like something like Smite. And Dave Georgian said that's a good one to follow. And it's, I mean, we can extrapolate. There's going to be hotbar. There's going to be some sort of cast time. Not everything's going to be slightly instant. I mean, we saw that certain, like the wizard had a cast time. Like it could root something because it's longer cast time for its better attack had a slightly. So I mean, we can kind of extrapolate that those are going to be the types of attacks. I don't think that the combat we see now is the combat that we're having in EverQuest Next. I don't think it's going to change. I'm that guy. I will be that guy.
Right, and that's so. Comparing Smite to EverQuest Next, I see so many similarities. The difference being, though, is that, and I was playing around with this, I think we all were when we were playing Smite on Friday, is that there's no third axis. Or no second access
movement,
and that
is very
which increases the, like, in PvP. It's like, okay, well, now jumping becomes a critical aspect, especially if you can jump high, because now instead of just running left and right to dodge attacks, use manually, just movement wise, you can add a third, add that third dimension, and so now you can go left, right, or jump over the attacks. And I mean, like, I'm an average person playing MMOs, and I don't think I can keep up with that type of combat in an MMO and feel good about it. I think that in some way, they're going to have issues with people like me, and more especially the more casual MMO player that is used to, like, standing in front of the mob statically and hitting the buttons I mean, they're going to now maybe that's a calculated risk that they're making. Like, maybe they're looking at, like, well, if we use combat the way that we'd like to, which is very more action oriented, we can pull in more of an action, craving population at the expense of, from like the traditional MMO stance. And I don't know, that's the risk that they're taking. I'm just afraid that, like, and I'm going to say it, like, my dad's not going to be able to play EverQuest Next if it's like this. He's just not going to be able to, and that relegates him to crafting and harvesting as his play choices, not combat, because there's just no way that his reflexes will allow him to keep up with it.
I think a lot of it has to do with the design of the movement system right now and the camera, because I played games like Firefall is pretty actiony. Also, Titanfall came out not too long ago, and that's an FPS based completely on movement. There's been a lot of games in the past that are high mobility type of action games, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they're complete Twitch. And then by Twitch, I mean that is high reaction time wins 24/7. I think that the movement system in Landmark and EverQuest Next just needs to be more predictable. I need to know if someone's moving in a certain way, that they're going to continue moving in that way. Or I need, more weight behind the animations. It needs to be less jumpy, it needs to be less jittery. And I think maybe even there could be some systems where the camera movement could follow a player if I have them targeted. If I have someone marked with the bow, maybe they get highlighted, and I could see them pass through walls, or I could see the camera zoom in on them. And there needs to be more systems to make it easier. But I don't think movement should be restricted, because imagine if you could actually have a fun game where you can fly around in a PvP arena and have it still be competitive. because that's just fun, in my opinion. I don't want to see them limit movement. I just want to see them make it better for a combat situation.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. It's like
maybe like one of those old school first person shooters where you can get speed buffs and fly around the map and like get, you know, like if you knew where those buffs and stuff were, like ammo and buffs and shields and stuff, you could tear up some people if you knew how to handle it right.
Absolutely. A lot of that would have to do with damage too, I imagine, because in those games you could pretty much one-shot somebody. So if I had the bow and was able to aim just right, then that should probably take them out of the sky instantly. So that's something to talk or think about too. You were pulling a Talon with us earlier.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. No, it's fine. Like, don't get me wrong. It's like we were talking about ArcAge, right? Open beta. So I loaded it up. I logged into the game. I played it for 2 minutes and I turned it off. And I don't know if I'll play it again just so that I have a better understanding of like the lore of it. But it was a combat system that I had seen all of it before. It was tab targeting, locked on targeting, action bars, and even me, and I was just attacking Landmark and possibly EverQuest Next as being too movement dependent at the same time. Like I'm like ArcAge, that's a total turnoff that it's a combat system that not only have I seen before, but I've seen it repeated in, that's Warcraft, EverQuest 2, Rift. I don't find it as interesting anymore. I'm just,
Rift was better in my opinion. Rift combat system, it was click or button based, but it was a lot more, I don't know, it flowed better. ArcAge, it's a little rough when it comes to that, but I don't know, I'm having fun, so I'll let you guys talk about this first, and then I'll give my opinion. It's so weird.
So I guess I gave ArcAge a little bit more time than needed, and I played the game for about an hour, and I did not find the game itself enjoyable at all.
Well, I don't want to give like a review of ArcAge, like we're not like entirely an ArcAge show, but I will touch on it real quick, and I'll say this: ArcAge is very much a PvE game. It's all PvE, so it's not really super set up for PvE. So the questing system, like it's almost like the questing system there is just to help you get to level 50. Now, do they do a lot of things right? Yeah, I think that's cool that like when people buy houses and set them up in the world, it's actually in the world. I think EverQuest Next, I hope they're doing that. I hope that if we have housing, it's actually not an instance thing with like somebody actually has a house that is in Norrath and has a viable thing. And I hope that the PvP is good. And I mean, they do a lot of cool things. But is it groundbreaking in certain aspects? Cool, yeah. Like I like the glider. I think that's a cool thing. I think jumping off a cliff and being able to glide and actually see everything from the world down is awesome. I think it's cool that if you have a mount, someone can jump on your mount too, and you can take them with you. I think that's always like a horse can always hold two people. Just saying. Like there's little things that it does that is really cool, and But I also think there's like things that they fall apart because if there's people like crafting is the big thing in that game, and they drop the ball with that. Like you have like a 24-hour rest system, and it's like a Farmville type thing, and it hurts because like someone like Tanlin or someone who enjoys super crafting and being known for crafting, you're limiting them in that game for that unless you sub and you get a little extra, but even then it's still not perfect. So I mean, there's give and take, and every MMO there's give and take, but I don't think, not to say that anybody that's like, oh, it's the sandbox game, it's sandbox like it's sandbox-esque. There's things about it that they're like sandbox elements, but it's not a true complete sandbox game. Can you go from one end of the world to the other without a load screen? Absolutely. Do I think that EverQuest Next Norrath should be one end of the map to the other without a load screen? Absolutely. I think that should happen. But I think all games should be like, I should not have to break my immersion. But that at the same time, like tab targeting, do I feel like my character's weapons were heavy and I felt the combat? Like I didn't like the tab targeting, but I did like the way my axe swung. Mm-hmm. Like my sword felt heavy, and I enjoyed that. There's things I enjoy, but there are
the sound. I don't know if you guys tried the casting, at least the fireball spell in the beginning, but the sound effect that it had and the visual effect that it had for even me just holding 3 while it attacked. It felt pretty good, and I still have a lot more hours to put into it before beta ends if I have time. Hopefully I do. maybe that's something that Landmark is missing right now. It has some cool combat music and things like that, but I don't feel weight in any weapons that I shoot. The sound of the weapons doesn't have a lot of bass to it. It's the bow's like pew 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 pew,
Yeah,
and I don't really hear anything when it hits the target.
Yeah.
That could really go a long way, I think, in making it feel.
Yeah.
I don't know. Make me feel.
But there are certain things I do like about it. Like I like that I could be a pirate and say like I can just go around on the 7 seas and be a pirate and raid, like have sea combat. That is a thing that I think every MMO should have. I think that we should all be able to have boats and do sea combat, and I think I should be able to dive down to the bottom of the ocean and trounce around there.
One thing I've been doing in ArcAge, and one thing that's made it the game of the year for me, I'm running around as a bard because I love bards. And you're actually able to make your own music in it. You can buy these music sheets, and if you know how to do MIDI type music, I don't know the exact terminology of it, but I have the Final Fantasy victory theme, so I just follow people around, wait for them to kill a monster, and go da 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 da, and then I wait for them and just keep following them. And as a bard, I can help buff them. So that's what I do. Like I did it for a straight hour, and I was laughing laughing my butt off because. Just going around doing Final Fantasy music at them, and then when they die, I do like a sad, depressing song. Then I revive them, bring it back, and back to the Phoenix Down sound.
Like the Final Fantasy X, Welcome to Zacharin, like that sad. Play that sad.
I think I have one from like 7 or something when you die, but
all right, I know which one you're talking about.
But I mainly want to emphasize that because that's what I want. From like next, I want to do those little tiny things. That's why I'm loving ArcAge so much. Your horse actually goes slower uphill. It goes faster downhill. You can do like your horse actually. The animation looks great. And I just love riding on my horse. I just bring it up and I just start walking in the town. The castles are amazing. I can turn off the lamps and stuff. I can do all these little things. The graphics are amazing. Because now I can run on max. Now,
really pretty. The whole game's beautiful. The world's awesome.
Yeah, it looks amazing to me because I can turn it up on max and everything, get all the nice shadows going and everything. It's not by far like holy crap, this is Crisis level of amazing, but there is a difference of aesthetic and like graphics. Graphics, it's nice. Aesthetic, I hate it because I really don't like MMOs that try to go super mega realistic. But besides that. What else were you supposed to about the combat of it? There's two different. There's hotkey, and then there's action combat MMO. There's pretty much the difference that we all have a problem with. And then, are we supposed to get another thing? I don't have the glasses on, so we can't see.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. It's like, but I think that it's like, you know what? Even the tab targeting, locked-on targeting, action bars isn't even the most basic, simple combat system that we've ever seen. Like I was going through my head, and I think the Eve is the most boring combat system that I've ever played in an MMO. Because once you've locked on a target, like you don't even press the buttons. You're like, okay, boop, there, my lasers are firing and they're cycling.
But wait, there's another aspect where you press another button to repair yourself. For
so exciting. Seconds. Yeah, right, and that's so. Like at one, we're going to look at it on a scale, right? So on one end we have Eve, and on the other hand we have like the highest Twitch FPS, shooter. I would just like to see EverQuest Next and Landmark a little bit more away from that far edge. And I don't, I'm not a developer. I'm not a game creator. I don't know the system in place to bring it back a little bit towards the middle, but I would like it to.
I guess I'll just sit here and brush my hair while the boys get to talk about their game and how much they like and or hate it. So I can say something positive about ArcAge. I really enjoyed the character creation up to a point. I went through male and female, all of their races, played with all of that particular stuff because I wanted because I wanted to see exactly what it was like. The only time that they lost me in character creation was when they gave me this enormous, like 18 million freaking color palette thing that you had to like carefully slide on. Yeah. That bothers me a lot. if you want to give me like 100 preset colors to go through, I'm fine with that. But please don't give me like a 16 million color palette that I have to carefully select. And then if I want another
One
part
thing,
to
would
match,
you feel better if you could zoom into it? Would that fix it for you?
That would
Okay.
fix it for me. And,
Yeah.
and what would make it even better is if there was some sort of numerical value that I could assign to each color. And so if I like picked 18.57 for this hair color, then I want her to have like the exact same eyebrows or the same eye color. I want to be able to make those match.
If you could get the hex code, right? And so like say, hey, this is the color I want my eyes, and now I want this other appearance feature to have that same color. I could just grab the hex code and put it in there.
Yeah.
And bam, matching.
That would make me a lot more comfortable with having that particular type of color selection. I loved that I can turn the intensity of my makeup or my face tattoos up and down. That if I wanted to have red lipstick, I could make it look like hooker red, or I could make it look like a really soft kind of pale pink on her. That was fantastic.
One thing I want to point out is that from all of you play, because we all pretty much played Arcade, did you notice that everyone pretty much either looks like a boy band or this Omega supermodel? Because it bugged the crap out of them. There are very few NPCs I saw that were like not perfect image, and that bugs me. I try to make the most oldest, ugliest man in the world, and I can't do it.
I was going to say that
a lot of MMOs are like that.
I think that because I played Aeon too, and so I categorize those particular two games very similarly because of their design. Aeon bothered me less in appearance than this one does, because I think two of the races really hit this particular uncanny valley with their appearance, and they make me extremely uncomfortable, and it's a little disturbing. And then the cat-ish race, I don't even remember what they were called, but they were freaky because their heads were tiny, and there was no way to make their heads look like it was supposed to. It was really, really weird. What is my husband doing?
Just so everyone knows at home, we weren't planning on talking about Archage tonight. We were going to talk about it next episode. So Tamlin's been like sending us messages like, "Hey guys, we're trying to cover this next week."
Okay. I gave up.
We're changing our topic.
I gave up.
For us, so now,
I'm changing right now. There's action in combat. Nope, screw you. There's action and combat in there. There's pretty much landmark.
Thorin, I love you.
Pretty much action combat's pretty much what is pretty much left click to pretty much swing your sword, right click to block or do an ability. Terra Online does this by pretty much just swinging your sword or whatever. Some people don't like that. A lot of people just like to kind of lay back with their hotkey style. They don't want a lot of movement. They just want it to be more tactical. A lot of people who go into these MMOs want that tactical style, like CRPG or anything of the such. What a lot of people are worried about, or a lot of complaints I've been hearing, especially with landmarks, that it's way too fast. And just way too like scummy in some situations. Like I would put a bubble and someone would just stun them because they have that stupid belt. They jump immediately out of it, and it's like, well, that's useless. And because they're all the way up there, they can see me, but angling my camera up there is really frustrating because it goes into the terrain, and then it's not fun. What the best compromise would be is to slow it down a lot, make it where jumping is really punishing to get out of, like gets rid of a lot of your stamina. So you have to like make a decision. Do I want to get out of this and use my jump and then try to fight him later, or should I just pretty much take it and then do another ability to get out of it, like a warrior's charge that people like to do?
I agree, and I think that's where the PvP trinkets would come in handy. Like if I don't mind a jump trinket. If there's a PvP jump trinket, or if they adjust the trinkets that do that, cool. I wouldn't mind that it uses more of your stamina. And then you're like, all right, well, I can't use my sword thing. Like if I had double jump or like the belt, and I jump to the air and then I use the sword will stop me midair and then launch me in a different direction whenever I aim. So it's like a great escape move. Like it's really, you can launch yourself over walls with that sword. So let's put that in mind. Like if you have double jump, here's some pro tips. Double jump. If you got the double jump, the feather in the bottle, and you're running with like belt of the Zephyr, or the lunar anklet. If you got one of them,
Yeah.
you double jump in the lunar anklet, like you or the belt is ever you, and then you get to a point where you get to the peak. You use the sword to get even higher. So somebody's building walls and stuff. Like walls. You're like Superman. You're leaping over. You're bounding over.
And it's super
Walls.
easy to escape too.
We don't need no stinking walls.
Walls are useless.
The funny thing, I'm gonna have to call out Tobrin here because I started to play with Tobrin a little bit, and he just copy pasted the World of Warcraft arena area.
He did.
And this also became a problem. I'm not sure if you guys talked on this, on how you need to like increase the width of your walls, and there's also another major problem I want to talk about, because there have been times I tried to like just looking at them, not at the wall, not at the floor, just at them, and I would still damage the floor, and it would create holes in his beautiful, totally original arena, and we'd just fall right through. So we had to find a way to get back up, and he was like, "Ah, you're kicked out. You suck." Basically, the terrain. I see the destruction of terrain to be a major problem. At first, when I first looked at it in tech demos or whatever, and there things like, "Oh yeah, that's pretty cool. I really like that. I really like that we're able to destroy the terrain." But if any attack does it, I see as like in just a normal PvP match of like 3v3 that we make a giant crater, and that just destroys my belief or disbelief or anything, because just swinging my sword shouldn't cause a mega crater into the ground. It should at least like do
A couple quick
scraps in
points,
there.
yeah, but yeah, go ahead, Kyla.
They could fix that by introducing a handful of building materials that were specifically labeled as indestructible, that looked identical to other building materials that cost the same to make, to use, but label them as indestructible. Because I'm sorry, if you build a concrete floor and you try to dig a hole in it with a sword, you're going to ruin your sword, not the floor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense for a sword to be able to go through stone, because it doesn't work that way. It doesn't make any sense for a sword to go through like a foot thick wall, because it wouldn't. No, there's no sword. Sorry.
So basically, the thing that's going on is toughness hasn't really been added to the game for materials. They've talked about this in the past, that there will be different toughness to different materials. So eventually, yeah, hopefully a concrete wall won't be knocked down by a sword. But right now, we're at that weird point where pretty much any material, but I believe it's lumicite, can be destroyed. So unless you want to have a glowing neon arena as your inner walls, you're kind of out of luck. But Flatus likes that idea. I mean,
Glowing neon,
Say
like,
so.
welcome to
Yeah.
the Glitter Dome.
Yeah, Glitter Dome or Tron Arena. Somebody make a Tron Arena.
someone did a
That's-
build a while ago. That was
I'm
Right, I would love to see, like we were talking about, like once we have durability and we've gotten accustomed as builders with the different durabilities on voxels, I think it's going to be, that'll add a level of gameplay that's going to be great, because you're going to be able to be like, hey, we can bust through the, this, voxel door right here to get through so much easier, or we could go through the wall over here, which might be strategically better. It would just take longer. So like voxels with durability is a great thing that I'm looking forward to. And I've also seen, I think it was Legendary who suggested voxels that are like, if you touch them, they kill you, so that you could create like falling hazards or knockoff hazards without having to knock someone out of your claim. So that they would basically they would die, somebody would get credit for it, and then they would just respawn inside the arena rather than having to have them fall out, get disqualified, and then maybe they get back in on time. That sort of business. But a kill as soon as you touch it voxel, I would definitely love to see. Or one that damages you, so that you could create lava and be like, okay, well, here's the lava. If you can knock them out, they can start taking damage from lava.
See, and that's like when Tober and I, like before PvP came in, I told him like, dude, it would be great if you had a Spleef arena. He's like, what's Spleef? I was like, it's that fun game in Minecraft where you have like, you go into an arena and it's all snow and everybody picks up a shovel and you dig up the snow underneath people, and there's a lava pit underneath, and you're supposed to just avoid getting into the lava. If you fall in the lava, you lose. And we kind of made a mock Spleef arena above water. All we did was we built the arena and we put the floor, and we used the delete tool underneath each other, and that was our arena. So like, there's certain like things where that would be kind of fun. Like, I don't mind the sword like just whacking under people's feet and just like trying to get them to fall into like the ocean or into lava. And I think that would be a lot of fun. Like, if they die, then you're like, haha, fool, and then rebuild the arena or whatever it is. Like, it resets.
And that's, I'm pretty sure they are already working on this stuff. I mean, one thing that Zorn was talking about where just you could destroy an entire crater, well, that can already be set in the game mode by creators of the arena. If they want destruction to be instantly healed, they can basically select that. So it's basically up to the creator to kind of define these environments. And that's one thing that's still something I want to talk about is when we get back from break, and that's the separation of landmark gameplay versus landmark PvP gameplay, and I think that's important for us to discuss with EQN, because with EQN I don't see a full-fledged immersive MMO having 2 or 3 different control schemes with different items and different, PvP sets of gear versus PvE sets of gear that we have to worry about. So it can be something that we talk about when we get back. Other than that,
No, we got 10 minutes.
Oh wow, okay, that's more time than I thought. So then right now, movement. Yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, what I know we talked about speed in combat, and I went back and watched the EverQuest Next the keynote speech again because I want to refresh certain parts of it for me, and the character creation. We'll touch on that after the break. But there's one part I wanted to mention now. I remember the warrior jumping from a high place doing a like sword crash move on top of things. So like that's going to be a thing. That is going to be an attack move for us. So I mean that. Let's think about like where we're at with like certain aspects of combat and landmark. Like jumping down from someplace and using the sword dash, you can do that. That's a thing. So we're going to be able to do some of that stuff in landmark. We just don't know what the full extent is and how. Yeah. To me, it looked like, from what I could see, like from the cleric, the shield bash looked heavy. Like that thing, the dude did not look like he was like gliding across like it was ice and he was just like hitting people with the nerd. Like that thing looked like it took out. Now it could have been animated or it was a demo reel, but I mean, regardless, like that's how combat should be. Like for me, at least in EverQuest Next, like I said, landmark for me, I can deal with this and I'll be okay with it. But for EverQuest Next, I want to see that heavy hit.
Yeah. The problem with movement for me right now is the fact that it doesn't have much consequence. Movement should be based on getting out of a situation or getting into a situation. But once you're in that situation, movement shouldn't be your key to avoiding death right away. Like in Smite, if I have a dash ability to go forth, well, I can go into combat, but once I'm in combat, how am I going to get out? Or if I'm in combat and I save that dash, then I can get out with it. It needs to be more strategic in that regards. Jumping around and moving is fun, and it still can be fun, but I mean, it bothers me so much that I'm playing an action game and I don't have like a tumble left or right, or something like that, where I can instantly dodge or evade to the left or right depending on stamina. It's just, it's frustrating. Yeah.
Probably the better thing to do in that regard is try to copy Guild Wars 2's dodge thing, have a bit of stamina you can do, but not make you completely immune. Because that's the problem with Guild Wars 2. So as soon as you do your dodge, you're immune to everything. It needs to still be physical based. Like if I still shoot you while you're dodging, you're gonna get hit. But it just makes it that much harder for like melee. It just makes it harder for me to hit you if you dodge like that.
Take the hit. Maybe just do like you take 10, 20% less damage.
Yeah, or just a reduction, really.
Yeah. But
So,
go ahead.
Sorry.
No.
Wait, there's a lady in here? What?
Thank you. I'm glad you noticed. I mean, I did touch up before.
You powdered your nose a little bit before you joined the show.
Can you tell how beautiful I am?
I can. I just want to say that, like, if they don't change combat up a little bit in Landmark, I don't know how much longer I'm going to play it. Combat, well, like I don't like it. And once they implement monsters, I'm going to be even less inclined to play. And if EverQuest Next is more like a MOBA, I won't be playing it at all. It's not a MOBA. It's an MMO or an MMORPG. And if that's what they want it to be, then that's what it should be. But playing it more like a MOBA does not sound like fun. And I get that they're trying to expand and get like this new generation of gamers. But then they put something on it like EverQuest. And how old is that game now? And that means how old are the players that have been around since day one? Why would you try to cater to a new crowd?
Because they already have 2 games that are like that. I think it's a good idea. bring EverQuest into a new generation. I mean, these are older players. They already have EverQuest 1 still running. Gets content updates every couple months. EverQuest 2 still running. Gets content updates. If you want to play that game style, it's there.
But I'm going to be really, really honest. I don't like EverQuest, and I hated EverQuest 2. I'm not going to play those games. They're awful. They have,
and that's your choice as a gamer. I don't think that EQN should make one system that's good for everybody. I say there's a lot of problems with the current implementation, but if they do choose to take it in a direction, I don't think we can judge them because it is their game.
But that's what we're doing on this every single day. Like everything that we dislike, we voice our opinions on what we like and what we don't like, and all I'm doing is voicing. So all we're doing is voicing like what we don't like about things, and for me to be able to voice my opinion should be my choice. You don't have to agree with me.
Yeah, I know. Well, that's true. I guess I'm torn on what you'd like to see going forward then. Would you like to see more of an old school MMO combat, or that's just the one thing I'm torn on?
If they want it to be a MOBA, then make it a MOBA and call it a MOBA, but don't say it's a new MMO and make it play like a MOBA, because it's not an MMO if it plays like a MOBA. It's a MOBA if it plays like a MOBA.
No, it's not. It's just the combat system in an MMO.
Yeah.
Like the combat system doesn't define what it is. An MMO a MOBA to me means that it's instant only with a lobby, and that it's like a battleground. There's a predetermined set to achieve victory, and if you achieve that, you win, and if you don't, you lose, and you're going directly up against another person. That's a MOBA to me. Like the combat system can be like any number. I mean, you could play like, I don't know, tic-tac-toe to decide the winner and call it a MOBA, I guess. But the combat system is just a component of the game. It's not the defining characteristic of it.
I would love to see a tic-tac-toe MOBA.
That was a horrible analogy. Don't just do it. It was like looking for a game, but you could almost look at chess. There's a better example. Chess is like the beginner, like the ultimate oldest MOBA in existence, right? It's like their team, your team. You have your hero pieces, the queens, the bishops, the rooks, and then you have your pawns, which feed their team. Except there's no level ups, there's no buying anything. It's nothing like that. But I think that if they want to take like a MOBA style combat and put it into an MMO and call it an MMO still, they can do that.
I think we're falling apart here. I think, and you know what? I'll say this. It's already 1 minute. We're about to hit after show. We're gonna hit our second half of our show. Are we done with calling it after show? Or
yeah,
it's the second hour. We're just taking a break.
Our second hour. We're gonna take a little break and then we'll come back and I have what I need to say and I think it'll cool us down. We'll be back. We'll take 10 minutes. We'll be back. Everyone's gonna take a little woosah. What we got? We got 10 minutes of what? Video.
Yeah. As a matter of fact, if you want me to introduce the video, but like get your final thoughts in now, because I'll go and play the video as soon as we're going to break, and introduce it.
I'm already taking a break.
I have no more thoughts right now.
Break's good.
I'm saving it.
Okay. But right before last break, in our last episode, we played a video showing No Hands Ken, I think was his Twitch handle, and it was basically our salute to the members of Able Gamers and what they do for gamers. Now at SOE Live, they mentioned that they brought in two groups. One was Able Gamers, the other one was military gamers. I've said great things about them because I am a veteran. What I have to play for us is a 8-minute interview that was done about military gamers at SOE Live. I'm just going to play that for you while we take a break. So with that, who's going to camp us out? By the way, if I'm not back after the break, I'm in a hole somewhere in the desert. She killed me.
Oh no!
Now you really might not come back from break.
Yeah, I was just thinking something along those lines.
Hey, if you left click to attack and jump away, you might escape.
Yeah, maybe. Good luck though.
She's gonna make it worse,
really
dude.
Well.
She's gonna put you in the hole with the couch and be like, "Look, now you have to sleep on the couch forever, bitch."
Wait, I guess we're camping in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.